Hi guys, this is Sadek from Droidwin.com, and in this video, we'll show you how to root any Android phone running the latest Android 14 build using the MagisPatch boot as well as the MagisPatch init boot file. So before moving ahead, please take a backup of all the data on your phone and likewise go through my section of the benefits and risks involved in rooting. So in a nutshell, once you root the phone, you will not be able to use banking and payments app, though you could easily fix that issue by passing the safety net test. Apart from that, apps like Netflix and all other which show DRM content, the wideband certification will be downgraded to L3, so you might not be able to watch content in full HD. Again, you could easily fix that issue. Then apart from that, there are also quite a few issues, but all these issues you could easily fix using my guide and the video. So if that's well and good, please take a backup of all the data on your phone and then let's get started with the rooting process. The rooting will not wipe any data, but still please take a backup just to be on a safer side. Now before starting, let's discuss the most important part of this guide. So you could go through my fact 1, and so this is whether you have to use the boot or the init boot file. Now if your phone came with Android 13 or Android 14 out of the box, then you will have to use the init boot file. On the other hand, if your phone came with Android 12 or an older Android version but has since been updated to Android 14, then in that case you still have to use the boot img file. So for instance, the Pixel 7 and Pixel 8 series, the OnePlus 11 series, the Xiaomi 13 series, all these phones came with Android 13 or Android 14, so they'll have to use the init boot file. On the other hand, the Pixel 6 series, the Pixel 5 series, or the Pixel 4, the OnePlus 9, OnePlus 8 series, the Poco F4, Redmi Note 10, Redmi Note 11, all this phone came with Android 12 or older version, and hence they will have to use the boot img file for rooting. So please keep this point in mind, and on that note, let's get started. So first and foremost, you will have to download and extract the Android SDK platform tools. So get it from my guide and then extract them onto your PC. You could extract them anywhere you want. In my case, I've done the extraction in C drive, and these are the files for platform tools. Once you have done the extraction, your next course of action is to enable USB debugging and OEM unlocking. USB debugging is required to execute ADB command, whereas OEM unlocking is required to unlock the bootloader on your phone. So let's now carry out both this task. For that, go to settings menu, then go to about phone and tap on build number 7 times. You will get a prompt that you will now have to input your PIN. So type in your PIN, and once that is done, you will get a prompt that you are now a developer. So go back and now go to system, and you should now see developer option. So go there and enable the toggle next to USB debugging and tap on OK, and you might now get an RSA key prompt. So again, tap on allow or OK. Likewise, enable the toggle next to OEM unlocking as well. If the bootloader is currently locked, so enable the toggle next to OEM unlocking as well. And once you have done that, let's now move ahead. So now you will have to unlock the bootloader on your phone. Do keep in mind that doing so will wipe off all the data, and it might make the warranty null and void as well. So if that's well and good, you could refer to my guide. And so regarding this, most of the phones such as the Pixels and the OnePlus follow a same pattern of unlocking the bootloader. All you have to do is simply boot your phone to fastboot mode and then use the fastboot flashing unlock command, and this will unlock the bootloader on your phone. So in that case, you just execute this command and you will then get a warning or a prompt. So use the volume key to highlight the unlock the bootloader option and press the power key to confirm, and with this the bootloader will be unlocked on your phone. But this only stands true for OnePlus and the Pixel phones. Apart from that, if you have any other phone such as the Xiaomi, Poco, Redmi, and on those phones you will have to use the Mi Unlock tool, and you will also have to wait for a period of 168 hours. Once that time frame has elapsed, you could then unlock the bootloader using the official Mi Unlock tool. I have made a video on the same as well and the guide as well. You could refer to this and get the job done. So apart from that, I have also made the guide on all the other OEMs as well. You could refer to it. And more importantly, if you have a Nothing phone, then do note that Nothing also requires you to unlock the critical partitions on its phone as well. So once you have used the fastboot flashing unlock command and unlock the bootloader, your phone will boot to the OS. Then again you have to boot to the fastboot mode and then use this command to unlock the critical partition as well. This is only required as of now I have seen with the Nothing phone and the Fairphone phones. So get this job done on your Nothing and Fairphone phones, and once you have unlocked the critical partition, simply boot your phone to the OS, and with this the bootloader stands unlocked across all the phones. So let's now move ahead with the next step. Next up, you will now have to extract the stock boot or the init boot file. So let's get this job done. So first and foremost, you will have to download the stock firmware, all the fastboot ROM, or it's also known as factory image, for your phone. So regarding this, make sure to download the same firmware version which is currently installed onto your phone. For that, you could go to the About Phone section, and from here, just a minute, from the About Phone section, you will have to check out the build number, and please make sure to download the same firmware which correspond to your build number. It's extremely important to have the same firmware. So as of now, let me show you. I'm using a Pixel 6a. It's currently on a beta version, so that does not matter whether it's the stable beta QPR version. It should be that you're using the same firmware which is currently there on your phone. So I'm just using for the sake of reference. For instance, in case of Pixel beta version, as you could see from here, mine is the Pixel 6a, and you could verify the build number from here. It's the U1B2230922.006. So it's the same firmware. So in my case, I'll download this firmware onto my PC. So once you have got the firmware corresponding to the build number, you will now have to extract it. Now regarding the extraction, it depends on the phone that you own. In case of Pixel, it's just a normal zip file. So for instance, let me show you. If we use this is a Husky, which is stand for the Pixel 8 Pro. So it's a normal zip file. Simply do a right click and select extract all. On the other hand, in case of Xiaomi phones, you will have to first extract the .tgz, then you will get a tar file. Then after a tar file, you will then get one more zip file. You will again have to extract that zip file, and after that you will get all the images. Apart from that, when it comes to OnePlus, they use the payload.bin file. So in that case, you will have to extract the payload bin file. So similarly, in all these cases, the extraction process varies depending on the firmware that you own. So once you have extracted the firmware, make sure that you get all the images file. So after extraction, for example, in case of Xiaomi, we have to extract a couple of times. First the .tgz, then the .tar file, and after that we got the images folder. Now we have to go inside the images folder, and as you could see, we have got all the partition files. Likewise, if you talk about the Pixel 8 Pro, then you just have to extract the zip file, then you get a folder. Inside that you get an image folder. So make sure to extract that images folder, and you get all the partition files, as you could see from here. So please make sure to extract the firmware and you get all the files. So in case of OnePlus, you could use the Fastboot Enhance tool. So let me show you that guide as well. I have made a separate guide and a video. There exist 4 methods: first, second, third, fourth, and out of all these 4, the first one using the Fastboot Enhance is the most easiest of them all. So I'll recommend you to use the Fastboot Enhance tool and extract the payload.bin file to get the boot or the init boot file. Anyways, moving on. Once you have got the boot img file, so let me do that in my case as well. So as of now, I have told you I'm using a Pixel 6a. So this is my phone. I've extracted the zip file, and in my case, my phone was launched with Android 12 out of the box. So I'll be using the boot img file. If in your case it was launched with Android 13 or 14, then you'll have to use the init boot file as I've told you before. So in my case, I'm using the boot file. So what you have to do is simply copy the boot or the init boot file from the stock firmware, and you will now have to transfer this file onto your phone. So if your phone is not visible here, then simply expand the notification section and change the USB file transfer. From here, change it to file transfer, and your phone will now be visible here. So simply paste the file over here And with this, we have got the stock boot IMG file, which we have extracted from the firmware, which is currently installed onto your phone. So again, I am repeating, make sure it's either the boot file or the init boot file, depending on the OS version. You could any time come back to my guide and read this fact if you have any queries. So Android 13 or 14 and higher version should use the init boot, or Android 12 and older version and whose phone has not been updated to Android 14 should use the boot IMG file. So as of now, I'm using the boot file. So with that said, we have now got the boot file, and now we'll have to patch this file via the Magisk app. So you could go to my guide and grab hold of the Magisk APK file from here. I have also given the direct link and the official changelog from GitHub as well. So simply download the APK file from here and install it onto your phone. So let me do that as well. It will take only a few seconds. So this is the Magisk APK file. Let me transfer it onto my phone. So with this, we have the Magisk and the boot IMG file. Let's now install the Magisk app. So let's open any file manager app. And this is the Magisk app. So let's launch it and install it. It will take only a few seconds to install. So let's just wait for the time frame and then we'll move ahead. The first time installation might take up some additional time frame, which is completely normal. So let's just wait and then we'll move ahead. So with this, the app has been installed. So now tap on open and now it will ask for notification. So in my case, the app is showing NA because I'm currently offline, but I have installed the version number as you could see from here. And now what you have to do is simply tap on install and now tap on select and patch a file. And now you will have to choose either the boot IMG file or the init boot IMG file. Which one of the two you have transferred onto your phone. In my case, I'm using the boot IMG file, so I'll select that. If you have chosen the init boot file, then you have to choose that file. So simply choose the file and then tap on let's go. Let me focus it for you. So tap on let's go and it will now patch the boot IMG file. Once the patching is done, it will place the file inside the downloads folder. So let me access the folder from my phone itself, or rather from the PC, it will be easier. So let's go to the downloads folder and the file should be placed. So the name of the file, as you could see on my phone, is showing as Magisk patch. So this is the Magisk patch file. Let me verify the complete name. It ends with REORI. So this is the file. So copy the Magisk patch file from your phone and place it inside the platform tools folder on your PC. So it should be either the Magisk patch boot IMG file or the init boot file, depending on the file which you have patched. In my case, it was the boot file. So anyways, copy that file from the download folder on your phone and paste it inside the platform tool folder on your PC. Once that is done, let's now move ahead with the next step. So we have got the patch file and now we'll have to boot our phone to the fastboot mode. So go to platform tools folder and type in CMD in the address bar and hit enter. This will launch command prompt window. Now type in ADB devices and hit enter and make sure that you are getting a serial ID. If you are not getting any ID, then unplug and replug your phone from the PC, disable and re-enable USB debugging, tap on revoke USB debugging, use the official cable that came with your phone and use the USB 2.0 port on your PC. So carry out this USB tweaks and make sure that you are getting an ID. Once you are getting this ID, you could now move ahead and boot your phone to fastboot mode. So just type in ADB reboot bootloader and hit enter and your phone should now boot into fastboot mode. It will take only a few seconds, so let's just wait. And depending on the phone that you own, the fastboot screen might be different for different phones. In my case, it's a Pixel phone, and as you could see, the device state signifies unlocked, which means that the bootloader has been unlocked. So before moving ahead, please type in fastboot devices and hit enter and make sure that you are getting a serial ID. If you're not getting any ID, then you will have to install fastboot drivers onto your PC. So I made a separate guide and a video on the same. Please, you could refer to my guide and make sure to install those drivers. Once you have installed the drivers, use the Windows X shortcut keys and choose Device Manager. Then expand the Android phone section or the Android device section and make sure that your phone is being shown as Android bootloader interface. So this, as well as the serial ID next to fastboot, signifies that your PC is able to read the phone in fastboot mode and you are now good to go ahead. So let's now move ahead with the next step. So now comes the most important part of this guide. So as of now, I'll first show you how to root those phones which are currently running Android 14 but which came with Android 12 or older versions. In other words, this is for those phones that requires the boot IMG file. If your phone came with Android 13 or 14 version, such as the Pixel 8 series or the OnePlus 11 series, in those phones, you should skip this step and you should instead go to the step 7B. The step 7A is only for those phones which came with Android 12 or older versions and are using the boot IMG file. If you are using the init boot file, then you will have to skip this step and go to step 7B. That is the next step. So as of now, let's begin with the step 7A. So as I have told you, we will now be using the boot IMG file. So for the ease of convenience, first and foremost, let's rename the Magisk patch file to something more easier. So let's just type in, change it to Magisk _ patch, so that the complete name becomes Magisk _ patch.img. So now we could now directly flash the file, but that's quite a risky approach. You should never do that. Rather, first you should temporarily boot your phone to the Magisk patch file, and if everything is working well and good, then you could move ahead and permanently flash the file. So let's just first temporarily boot our phone via this patch file and verify the result. So as of now, open CMD window and type in fastboot boot and the name of the file, which is Magisk _ patch.img, and hit enter, and your phone will now temporarily boot to the rooted environment. So we could now verify if it's working or not. If it's working well and good, we could then move ahead and permanently obtain root. However, if there is something wrong, then a simple restart will replace the patch boot IMG with the stock boot IMG, and your phone will be up and running in no time. That is why it's always recommended to take a failsafe approach and use the boot command. Please never use the flash command when it comes to using the boot IMG file. As of now, I'm only talking about the boot file and not the init boot file. So in case of boot file, always use the fastboot boot command and never use the flash command. Only use the flash command if the boot command is working well and good. So as you could see, my phone has booted to the OS. So this signifies that the Magisk patch file is working well and good, and we should now have obtained root. But this root is temporarily and just for one-time usage. So let me now launch the Magisk app and show you. Even though I might have obtained root, but it will just be for one-time usage, and Magisk might ask you to carry out a few additional tasks as well. So that is not the case. That's well and good. So as you could see in my case, the Magisk version is installed 26.1. So that is the installed version, and so with this we have obtained root. But if I do a restart now, I will lose the root because I have just used the boot command. So upon a subsequent boot, the root will be lost. So let's now move ahead and make the root permanent. For making the root permanent, all you have to do is tap on install next to Magisk, then choose direct install recommended and tap on let's go, and Magisk will now patch and flash the file in the backend, and it will take only around 5 to 6 seconds. So let's just wait. Once that is done, you will now have to tap on the reboot button. So do so, and Magisk will now boot into the rooted environment, and it might now ask you to install a few additional dependency, which again takes only around 10 to 15 seconds. So let's just wait, and our phone will now boot to the OS. Do keep in mind that while we are performing the rooting steps, the boot up might sometimes take up some additional time frame. This is completely normal and nothing to worry about, because we are in the process of patching and flashing the boot IMG file. So it might take up some additional time frame. Anyways, our phone is now booting to the OS, and with this we should have obtained root. In most cases, Magisk asks us to do one more task. I'll show you that if it asks now. So our phone has booted to the OS, and now let's launch the Magisk app. and on some phones it might ask you to install additional dependency. If you get that prompt, then just tap on OK. Your phone will undergo a restart, and upon a subsequent restart, your phone will then be rooted. You will only get that prompt on some phones. In my case, I'm not getting that prompt, and my phone stands rooted permanently. So with this is how you could root your phone if your phone was launched with Android 12 or older version and you are using the boot img file. Now if you are using the init boot file, then in that case what you have to do is, first off, make sure that you have transferred the Magisk Patch init boot file to the platform tools folder. Likewise, rename the Magisk Patch init boot file to simply Magisk Patch so that the complete name becomes magiskpatch.img. So this is our init boot file. Now what you have to do, in case of those phones which came off Android 13 or 14 out of the box, in which case we are using the init boot file, there is just one drawback, that is you cannot check or use the boot command. Instead, you will directly have to use the flash command. So make sure that everything is working fine with the patch init boot file, because as opposed to the boot file, in which case you could use the boot command and first perform a check, in case of init boot you cannot do any such check. Instead, you will have to directly flash the file. So please make sure that the patch file is working well and good. So anyways, moving on, once you have transferred the Magisk Patch init boot file over here and done the rename, you will now have to boot your phone to fastboot mode, as I have told you before. And once your phone is in the fastboot mode, simply use this command to flash the Magisk Patch init boot file to the init boot partition. This is the partition name and this is the file name. In our case, we have renamed the patch init boot file to simply Magisk Patch, as you could see from here. So type in this command, fastboot flash. We cannot use the boot command. We have to flash the file directly to the init boot partition. So copy paste this command in the CMD window, and once that is done, your phone will then flash the file. And once the flashing is done, you will then have to use the fastboot reboot command, and your phone will then boot to the OS. Once it boot to the OS, simply launch the Magisk app and your phone should be rooted, and you will get the installed next to the Magisk. In some phones, you might get a pop-up which would say that it requires some additional dependency to be installed. So if you're getting a pop-up of additional dependency, just tap on OK, and Magisk will then ask you to do a direct install. So do a direct install and your phone will undergo a reboot, and after that you will obtain root. So on most phones, simply execute the fastboot flash command, init boot command, and then do a fastboot reboot, and your phone will then boot to the OS and it should obtain root. In rare cases, you might get to install additional dependency. So tap on OK, select direct install, and then do a reboot, and with this your phone should be rooted via Magisk. If in rare cases, there could be, I have seen a few cases on some forums like XDA wherein this command gave out some issues. So if that is the case with you as well, then you could also manually flash the Magisk Patch init boot file to both the slot A and slot B of the init boot. So in that case, instead of this command, you could also use this command. So as you could see, we are flashing the init boot file to both the boot A as well to both the init boot A and the init boot B file. Just make sure to replace the file name as is the file name here. So in our case, the file name is magiskpatch.img. So make sure to replace the file name from here accordingly. Then here is the init boot A partition and init boot B partition. In most cases, if you use this command, then it will automatically flash the file to both the A and B slot. But if that is not happening, then you could also manually use the command to flash to the A as well as the B partition, and once that is done, use the fastboot reboot command and your phone will obtain root. So guys, on that note, I round off this video. Just to recall once again, if your phone came with Android 12 or older version, you will have to use the boot.img file. If your phone came with Android 13 or higher version, you will have to use the init boot file, and the rest of the steps are same up until the flashing process. In case of the boot file, so for instance, if you are using the boot file, for those users whose phone came with Android 12 or older version but has since received an Android 13 or 14 update, in those cases, if you're using a boot.img file, then you will have to use the boot command and then do a direct install. But if you're using the init boot file, so in case your phone came with Android 13 or 14 and you're using the init boot.img file, then in that case you don't have any option but to directly flash the file to the init boot partition. If in some cases that does not work out, then you could also manually write off the slot name as well, slot A and slot B as well, but that is not required. Simply using this command should do. And in some cases, Magisk might give you a prompt to install additional dependency. Just tap on OK and then tap on direct install and your task stands complete. So guys, on that note, I round off this video. If you have any queries, do let me know in the comment section, and thanks a lot for watching.